Hey guys, I decided to do one more for the night, so I'm going to finish it with chapter 11. After finishing remodeling the deck that surrounded a fiberglass pool we put in over a month ago, I went and cashed my check, anxious to buy a new phone. My parents haven't bothered me since they've seen to have enjoyed the large amount of money that I drop in their lap every 2 weeks. I rode my motorcycle downtown to her cell phone company, enjoying the mild breeze. I wanted to get something more updated, and I had the extra cash to blow. It took over an hour to decide on a phone, considering I had no idea on what I was really looking for. Once purchased, I sat in my room reading over the owner's manual. I was quite positive that I was one of lesser value in the flock of technology, especially because I had to actually take the time to read the fucking thing. In the midst of boggling my brain with Chinese, Sky's message tone dinged on my laptop. I hopped on, replying with my new cell number, telling her to text me instead. I'll be back on here later. Just text me. I'm going out with the guys for a while. Web chat later? Deal. I smiled, logging off. I raced out the front door, jumping into Trenton's truck. Johnny was having a barbecue and had a pit full of weed that he was ready to burn. Out of all the years of knowing Johnny, he was always smart when it came to science and chemistry, never disappointing when it came to social mediocrity either. He's created some of the most insane tools and objects to smoke from. If the repercussions regarding the law didn't weigh so heavy, then I'm sure he'd take the chance on running his own black market. I walked up beside him while he finished setting up an old oil drum filled with marijuana and some other shit I didn't recognize. Are you gonna light that entire thing up? Go big or go home, right? He smiled, taking a drag from his cigarette. What all is in there? I peered with curiosity. Good old-fashioned marijuana, some salvia, and ground up molly mixed in with some, painkiller substances, too. I'm sure my wrath-like expression made him phantasmal ideas seem ingenious. Dude, what is it with you? You're going to have the entire block fucked up. Seeing stars, practically. I think it's astronomical, especially coming from such a brilliant mind. I looked up to see an unfamiliar face running nails across Johnny's abdomen. He turned his head to kiss her, then looked back at me with a wink. I rolled my eyes laughing while I scanned the crowd of hoodlums gathered in his yard. There were maybe 30-some-odd people standing around drinking and socializing. I assumed the same chick who was rubbing all over Johnny had to have been his new playmate. Only with the exceptional display of their affection all evening did I come to that conclusion. I saw Tiffany with some of her friends sitting inside Johnny's garage. She saw me, but never approached me. She did everything but give me the time of day. With egotistical delight, I let it roll off my shoulders and pursued a girl who went to school with Brie. I was already feeling tipsy and pissed off, and I wanted to make Tiff jealous for the sake of my own sanity. Even just to prove she did care beyond her masquerade of denial, when in reality my imperfections were non-existent inside her lonely heart that starved for amity at our door. Is everyone ready to spark up? Johnny yelled. The clamor of clanking beer bottles sloshing about filled the nebulous evening air. Johnny lit a match, pouring lighter fluid inside of his mouth. I parted my drink from my lips, letting all the liquid I had intake fall into the grass below. He has lost his fucking mind, I muttered to myself. Johnny expectorated the fluid, torching the match as it dropped into the drum, bursting into irrepressible flames. The entire crowd was on the verge of asphyxiating to death from the thick layer of smoke that slowly dissipated around us. Colton and his stupid gas mask had us all freaking out like we were involved in some chemical warfare. My mind was so fucked. I swore at one point the oil drum somehow turned into a gigantic gem, and the girls who stood around it turned into a pod of mystical mermaids, all lying on top, taunting me with persuasion, as if insinuating I should come and just fuck them all. Meh, imagine that. But then it was no worse than when Trenton came walking up, appearing to be a fucking centaur, and Johnny's fucking head was slowly detaching from his body, then floated aimlessly. Each time they spoke, it was like their words were pouring from their mouths, forming conversation bubbles with legible print inside. The longer I stared, the more each letter began changing colors, floating up and down like some lava lamp before popping into evaporation. I went to answer them, and then my word process hit a traffic jam, coming out long and drawn out. I looked down, seeing my own words formulating complete text before my eyes, like I was staring intently into a computer screen. I looked up at Trent and Johnny. Their obscure facial expressions only proved that they saw the same fucking thing. Or maybe I just wanted to believe in such. Once rejoining eye contact, we laughed until we couldn't breathe. Man, I am so fucked up, I laughed. Eventually, I wound up alone for quite some time, lying in the grass just watching the sky above. I tried staring long enough without blinking, TV satellites orbiting in space. I think of the most random things and just laugh to myself. Suddenly, a figure stood over me, breaking my concentration. I looked up to a faceless body, and the harder I strained, the more the face appeared. "Nikki?" I slurred. "Who?" the voice echoed. I slapped myself trying to straighten my mind, but it wasn't working. The figure's hand reached out to help me stand, but when I went to grab a hold of it, the body disintegrated to the ground. I sat up feeling the strange contents falling through my fingers like soil. Once it hit the ground, it molted into a puddle of blood just streaming down next to me. As it settled, I looked down into the liquid, watching the ripples form an image. It showed Nikki fading into my own reflection. Her voice spoke while I continued looking at myself. "This is who you are, Mally. Why change?" I don't understand," I stuttered. Images of me and Nikki, lustfully intertwined, displayed against the placid puddle of crimson. They portrayed me as a monster, beating the shit out of Nikki, only she wasn't enjoying it. And then Tiffany appeared. Yet I was doing the exact same to her. "Fuck you. I'm no monster," I quietly whined. "No, you're just a murderer." My eyes widened as I forced to look inside the puddle once more. The devilish creature held a small child, devouring them until both figures disappeared into black smoke. I pierced the air with a harsh scream, throwing my hand into the puddle, attempting to splash the images away. Hey! Calm the fuck down, Malice. What the fuck are you doing?" I felt Trent pulling me up by my collar. I was shaking my head rapidly, trying to focus on real life, so when I opened my eyes, everything would be normal again. "Dude, snap the fuck out of it." I felt a cold hand meet my face. I opened my eyes to everyone staring at me in bewilderment. Shoving off a Trent, I nervously straightened my clothing. "Sorry, everyone. Sorry. I had a bad trip," I waved. I cleared my throat, pulling out my cell phone, trying to ignore the awkward stares I was still receiving. Sky had sent a text message asking how the party was going. I replied with trippy as fuck. "When will you be home?" I looked at the time, and it was already pretty late. "Give me 10 minutes. I was so high and horny as hell, longing to get home. I haven't had much release since Nikki and Tiffany both stopped contacting me. Porn was a great alternative, but I wanted to see just how accepting Sky was at this point. I was so excited for some fucking reason. I thought it was James Bond and nearly broke my entire window. I was so fucked up beyond all repairs to even think about using the front door. I'd be expecting a gun barrel pressed into my cheek with my father on the other end. My laptop rang with a call from Sky. "I'm coming, baby, I'm coming. I hurried over to my bed. I pulled off my shirt, then inserted my headphones. Once Sky popped up on my screen, excitement jolted throughout my entire body. She wasn't lying on her bed in the way that I had thought. She was just in a tank top with Captain America across the front and a pair of panties. I felt my jeans begin to rise, so I pulled my laptop up, trying to ignore it. "Hey there," I said lowly. She smiled, grinning me back. "You look like you're up to no good, mister." She raised an eyebrow. I just laughed, trying not to stare for too long. I couldn't help it. She looked completely amazing, even though she was lounging in bed for the night. "No, I'm just feeling some type of way." I rubbed my chin hairs. "Oh yeah? And what feeling is that exactly?" I looked downwards with a devilish smile. Sky just rolled her eyes with a giggle. Stretching out her legs caused her tank top to rise just above her navel. My eyes traced the definition of her stomach down to her hip. My jaw tightened and tickled while she studied my expression and began to play on it. She raised her shirt even more and seductively bit her lip. My breathing became heavier when she pulled down the lace, viewing a perfect hip definition. The more daring than I had ever anticipated, Sky motioned for me to show a little something myself. I quickly undid my belt, but slowly pulled down my zipper. I was rock hard and ready to take care of business. Are you sure that you can handle it? Malice, I'm quite sure I can manage. Let me see it. I struggled, but then I just shrugged, pulling it out for her to view. Her eyes held a gaze of impressiveness while she licked her bottom lip absentmindedly. Damn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can handle that. Her words felt intimate. My breath fell out of me watching her hands slide down in between her legs. They disappeared behind the silk and lace material, circulating slowly. I began stroking my throbbing erection, getting really into it when I heard something bang. It was so sudden, yet loud enough for me to take a second guess. I pulled out a headphone to listen further. Hold on, I told Sky. I crawled out of bed, tucking away my member that quickly gained flaccidness. Trying to peek through my blinds, I couldn't see anything, so I shrugged it off. Once I sat back down, I heard another loud thud. What the fuck? I ripped out both earbuds. Is everything okay, Molly? I don't know. Hold on, I'll call you back, I said, slamming my laptop shut. I killed my light switch and crept through the living room, trying to open the front door as quietly as possible. As I stretched the screen door open, I saw a limp body lying out on my porch. I looked up, seeing taillights in the distance and the vehicle stirring dust as they peeled away. I knelt down, rolling the body over to view their face. It was Nikki, all battered and bruised. She was almost unrecognizable from all the blood. I pulled her into my arms, throwing her over my shoulder to bring her inside. Lying her up against my bathtub, I pushed her sticky red strands of hair from her eyes. I then instinctively dampened a wash rag, gently removing the blood from her face. She had bruises around her neck and cuts all over her face. I examined her body further, only to see dry blood stained across her inner thighs and bruises around her wrists. My stomach twisted, causing me to dry heave at the moment, and just thinking about what just happened to her. She started moaning from pain and then tried to open her eyes. Shh, it's just me. You're safe now, I said as my lips trembled. I took her in by the face, looking into her eyes as she began crying. I used the pads of my thumbs to remove the tiny streams of water. All I could do was hold her tightly into my body, letting her know I was there to protect her from all harm and evil. I knew I didn't want to cause attention from the media and the local authorities, so I didn't bother calling the police. Nikki was breathing shallow, but thankfully her lungs were taking in oxygen. I got her cleaned up and placed her in one of my t-shirts before lying her on my bed. I drew the covers up to my chest, turning out the light. Nikki rolled over my direction, grabbing me by the arm. Thank you, she whispered, nestling into my chest. I gripped her arm, accepting her praise. I stayed up for about an hour, just staring off into the darkness of my room while keeping a close eye on Nikki. Johnny was going to be beyond disbelief tomorrow when I informed him of the situation. Okay, guys, so that was 11. You guys can stay tuned for chapter 12 and find out what happens to Nikki and pretty much why. Thank you guys for tuning in.